Hey guys, welcome to our home. It is Amy and Ignacio, and I thought it would just be really fun to just share with you our journey and how we actually started dating because oddly enough, I get asked this question on the daily, how the heck did you land this silver fox? And so I thought it'd be fun to just share it with you so there's no more questions. So, you want to start or I want to start?
Well, where do you want to start is the question.
Well, I feel like we should start with good old Bumble.
Okay.
All right, awesome. So I think it's always really fun when you hear couples tell their stories anyways, because both people have like a little bit different story to the same
Story?
So anyways, so my perception, right, is I went through a divorce in 2018. In 2019, in summer of 2019, I had a friend that challenged me to go on Bumble, but I am 100% sure that she challenged me to go on a dating app because she wanted to try swiping. And of course...
And she was married at the time.
Yeah. But you know what
a friend, not Amy.
Yeah, no. But what I really love about that is that I had never been on apps, right? It is so fun. If you are single and you have a healthy, you're ready for it, like it is hilarious and so fun. So I get why people do it.
And the good thing is by the time she tried it out, I was already a professional. Yeah. I've been doing it for years.
So my first swipe, oh my gosh, Bumble should sponsor this because my first swipe, they only give you supermodels. If you've never been on a dating app and you put your profile pic up and some details, they send you 10 supermodels straight out of the gate. So I was like, these people live in our area. Like I have never seen men that look like this walking around the grocery stores. So it was an awesome experience, but within the first day or two of me being on this app, I swiped this guy, we matched, and he didn't even live here. He just happened to be working in our area because Bumble puts, it's like, I think the women run who they swipe or whatever on that one.
No, so it's based off of like radius, area radius. You can put it within 10 miles, you can put it in 150 miles.
Okay.
And it'll just get all the people that meet your age criteria and whatever you select on there, you're filtering. And then it just matches you with the people that are in that area at the time.
But this is really funny part because when Kendall and I were looking through Bumble, I actually jokingly said, oh my word, I should fly down to Encinitas, Leucadia, Carlsbad.
Which is San Diego area.
Yeah. And I was like, I actually want to be in their zip code because that's where I want to live. So I should try swiping in the San Diego area, those little beach towns on 101. And so it was really funny that I didn't even know that I was swiping somebody that did live in San Diego, which was just a miracle, obviously. So I was only on it for 2 weeks. I had lined up dates and I felt really proud of myself for having some boundaries. But I went on a few different dates just to see how fun and different people were. Just to go meet, I met a couple guys for coffee, out to dinner a couple times, but it was so fun. I mean, obviously our online dating experiences are radically different because for me, I wasn't trying to look for a partner or hookups, right? I was just like trying to like see what kind of flavors were out in the world of potential that I could date after never dating, right? So that was really, really fun for me, but it was almost too much. I was like, what in the world am I doing? I'm training for a triathlon, I'm running a business, I have 3 kids, and trying to go out on a date on the nights that I don't have the girls is wild. It's a wild time. So I got off of the app and he was following me on IG.
Instagram for everybody. I know my mom's watching, so she might not know what that is. But from my perspective, we went to high school together and I had a crush on her. In high school, she would walk the halls with my cousin James and some people that I knew, but I never had any classes with her because we're 1 year apart in age in school. And I would see her in the hallway and I would always be like, oh, if I could only get up the courage to talk to her, and I'd beat myself up. Oh, just do it. Call myself a pansy in my room for hours because I never talked to her. But my excuse was that she always had a boyfriend, and she did. She had a boyfriend the whole time through high school. So, I'm not gonna try and be Mr. Steal Your Girl, and I wasn't confident enough at the time to even attempt that, anyways, contrary to popular belief. And then I, from that point on, got into multiple long-term relationships. It was 3 years, 5 years, 9 years, engagement that didn't work out, another 3 years. But in between each one of those relationships, even back starting in the early 2000s, before the dating apps and everything, I always remembered her name, and I would look her up on MySpace or internet or whatever social media apps that there were. And it was, she got married, and then it was she had a kid, then it was 2 kids, and then it was 3 kids. But every time that I broke up with somebody, her name would always pop into my head, and I'd always look her up to see if she was single. Maybe I would send her a creepy message on the internet.
Flames.
Well, flames weren't even out yet. So I live in San Diego, but from here, our turf company is based out of Oregon. So I would come up here multiple times throughout the year, throughout my whole time in San Diego. So over the last decade, I would be up here frequently. But it just happened to be that we matched on a dating app when I was recently single. And so in the process of a girl and a guy matching on Bumble, the girl has to make the first move. Guys cannot just send creepy messages right out the gate. They have to wait for the girl to send a message in order to open a conversation. So, do you remember what you said?
No, I think because it said Ignacio Baez Jr. and he's standing in this like super fly suit. And I was like, whoa, he looks amazing. I was even showing people his picture on Bumble. I was like laughing with my friends at the gym, and even showing, I remember it was Emma's 40th birthday party, and it was just in a conversation. I was like showing all these people your photo because I was like, I think I'm gonna actually get to date this. Like I thought he was so hot. So, but then I messaged you, and I think I said, I was like, I know you. I obviously know
maybe
your
it was
name.
just.
I think I just said I know you.
I know you. And then my first question was, aren't you married?
Yeah.
Because I looked up her Fit for Excellence page, and it said married, mom of kids. So nothing on social media or anything said that she was single, or Facebook still said married, everything still said married. So my first question to her was, are you married? Then she told me that she had been recently divorced but didn't want to make it public yet. And so I'd scheduled another work trip to come up here, but I was only going to be in the Portland area for 1 day, and then I was going directly down to Coos Bay the next morning to work for 3 weeks, I think it was, 2 or 3 weeks.
And I invited him out to go to Oktoberfest, and me and my friends were going to be all cute, and I was so excited. And then he wouldn't go.
I had to be back here, and if I go to Oktoberfest driving, it's not going to be a good thing driving back, especially when I have to leave first thing in the morning to go to Coos Bay. So I decided to stay in Portland, and I went out on another date with another girl, and I ended up dating that girl for about 5 months. However, it was all for the right purpose.
Yeah.
I
had a great time in those 5 months. I quit dating people though, and I was just enjoying my singlehood. So I really appreciate the time that I had single, and I'm thankful that you had that time figuring out whatever you had to.
But at the time, it wasn't like I didn't say, oh, I'm gonna take this other girl out, or that I'm gonna start dating this girl.
You just didn't know what he was missing yet.
I just declined the invitation to Mount Angel and said maybe we can get together next time I'm up, or some other time along this trip. But then I started dating that girl, so I didn't reach out again to hang out. And then
but that was September, and then it was not until the next June that we actually went out on our first date.
Well, COVID hit, right?
Oh yeah.
COVID hits in March, the following March, and I was in a studio apartment by myself with my cat, quarantining, right? So I had nobody else around me. I'd go once a day to walk around the harbor in San Diego, but other than that, almost zero human interaction for a couple months. And then my lease was up. My lease ended, and my dad still had his house here in Salem, but he lived in Mexico at the time. And so I said, I'm not going to renew my lease. It's pointless because I had to come up in June. I had to be up here for 3 to 4 months doing a turf project. So I was like, there's no point in me renewing my lease in San Diego if I'm gonna be in Oregon for the first 4 months of it. So I didn't renew, ended up moving into my dad's house and quarantining. A couple friends from San Diego joined me because, you know, they were miserably single in San Diego too. And they were like, oh, we can go hike in nature and nobody's gonna say anything. So they ended up coming with me, and then
But you started sending me flames mid-May.
oh, well, that's because you were doing. Well, you had come down to San Diego a couple times before we met on Bumble or whatever, and I sent you some flame emojis.
Yeah, I always laugh because I was like, you quit sending me flames. So funny. So then June 1st, 2020, I go down to Salem to do something for business, and I stopped by my mom's house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Ignacio's dad's house.
I told her that I was in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I'd be here indefinitely. So if we could find a time to actually meet this time, just to catch up, see what we've been doing since high school, basically. That was it. It wasn't, maybe we can start dating premise. It wasn't anything like that. I was really interested just to hear about her life since high school.
Yeah, which was really awesome. And that's actually our theme song the entire time we dated was Easy. Because it's so easy. I went to his dad's because for me, and obviously going out with friends or even having a time to be able to sit and talk to an adult had to be scheduled out by my parenting schedule. So I found the first free weekend that I can come down to Salem and sit with him. And it was so fun to just sit with him. And we just sat at his dad's house in the kitchen and gave each other a 15-year recap.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And then after that, then I think I remember he was wearing a medium purple button up.
Still got it.
And I gave him a hug at the door, and I was like, okay, see you later.
Yeah, and that was it. And
there was no pressure, can't wait to see you again or anything.
But then I started brainstorming, okay, now I need to take her out on an actual date, but what can you do when everything's locked down? And somebody suggested that some of the golf courses were open. So I asked if she wanted to go to a golf course up here, Sahali, to see if she wanted to go golfing. And so that was the first date. And I, trying to be thoughtful, went and got some gifts. I knew she was about to buy this house, and so I bought her a plant.
A money tree.
Yeah.
And I killed
money
it.
tree. And she spent all of her energy making our relationship thrive, so I forgot about the plant.
But it was so sweet just because I had gone on single dates with people, and I mean, a few of them. And I obviously was married for a very long time and had never been around somebody that was gift thoughtful. And so already I was impressed that you brought me a sweet little gift for our first date. I loved that. I really did. He was already winning me over. And then,
well, it turned out in order to go golfing, you had to bring your own clubs, and we didn't have clubs, but they did have a mini golf, and they would let you use a putter because they didn't have to clean a whole set of clubs, just the putter. So they let us play mini golf, and
I was so nervous. I was giggly nervous to hang out with you, but then I think it helped when I found out later that we were both like, I
mean, it's great to play a game where the girl that you're interested in has to lean over and putt because she sticks her butt out a little bit and gave me some eye candy the whole time. So
that was so fun. But yeah, then the whole summer, it was really cool because that whole summer, I mean, obviously we were both, he was off the dating apps finally. Did you get off the dating apps that summer?
No, I was still on them, but
Well,
I'm still on them.
I
I had
was
a house. Yeah, she didn't. She was on
But
it
all
anyways.
summer.
But we got a rental house up in Portland because that's where the project was, and some of our workers flew in from other places, and so I was living in a house with 4 other guys, but in Portland. And so I was able to see her frequently throughout the week whenever it worked for her schedule. And, it would just be coming over to help her set up furniture here. This time I never met the girls. There wasn't any plans for me to meet the girls yet because we weren't necessarily going to be anything. So I would just come over here, play dice, meet a couple of her friends.
We went kayaking.
Go kayaking, just do whatever we could do during COVID. And then it came to a point where I knew the project was over. I was going to go back to San Diego. So I made a proposal in a sense. I just said, I had a great time this summer. This could just be what that was, just a great time getting to know you and spending time with you over the summer. It doesn't need to be anything. Because I knew that I was ready to be in a relationship after that 4-month relationship or 4 or 5 month relationship that I had with the girl in between. It actually got me, going through that relationship got me to a place where I finally did not need to be in a relationship. I didn't need to be with anybody. I was finally at a point in my life where I was completely happy with myself, completely happy with being alone, and I didn't need anything. And I can honestly say, even today, I don't need anything. So everything that Amy gives me is bonus. I don't need anything from her. She gives me tons of fulfillment and tons of joy, but I didn't need it. I still don't need it if we were to go separate ways, which we won't. But if we were, I would know that I would be fine and I would still be happy for whatever she did with her life because I don't need.
Well, because you like yourself.
Yeah, I like myself completely, and I love her completely. So I'm sure. Anyways, we don't have to worry about that because it will never happen. But so I was able to have a completely 100% non-manipulative conversation and just say this could just be what it was, just getting to know each other and spending time over the summer. And if you're ever in San Diego, you're welcome to come visit, and I'd love to see you. And whenever I'm up here, I'd love to see you. And that can just be all it is, or we can be intentional and pursue a relationship. And I said, I want to pursue a relationship, but you can do whatever you want, and I'm okay with either one. And so she thought about it for a couple of days.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was really fun. One time, because we did it we were floating, and I remember floating and laying in the sunshine, and it was just going down the river, and you started talking about that. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. And it was really awesome because when in the middle of the summer, when we had just been enjoying getting to know each other and there wasn't pressure, like having time with no pressure was amazing. I loved that because I honestly was like, I didn't have to impress you every time we hung out. I didn't feel like I was under a time limit of, oh, I've got to be committed. I've got to date him. Anything. It was so fun. But I think that it's allowed time to be friends also too first. And then since you gave me that freedom to just be myself, and I also was obviously I've worked a lot on myself and how much I like myself. But it was fun to just be not under time constraints or pressure. And so by the time he asked me if I wanted to be together, it was really fun. It was easy to say yes because I loved who he was. And then also he was going back to San Diego. So it was like, oh, this whole, like, even if we're dating and it's distance, it's still not this forced thing. It's still enjoyable. It's going to be so fun to go visit him. And then really through COVID and every trip we did together, we had so much fun.
So we made a conscious effort to try to see each other at least every other week.
Yeah.
So either she flew down to San Diego or I flew up here. but we got lucky because our birthdays are the same weekend. Hers is the 10th, mine is the 12th. And before I met her, I had planned that I was going to go to Las Vegas for my birthday. Funny thing is, she had the same plans. And so,
My 40th
it's the same
birthday.
weekend, and it was my 41st. I just hadn't been to Vegas in a long time. So, we joined our parties. So, my sister came, my brother was there. I got to meet a bunch of her friends. And that was the first trip after we decided to date. And so that was awesome. And then Thanksgiving came around, and my dad moved to Puerto Vallarta, and I'd never gone to visit him. So, being COVID, a lot of people didn't want to have gatherings. And so I just called my dad and said, can I come visit you in Mexico for the holiday? And he said yes. And then I said, would it be okay if I brought this girl? I really like her. I want you to meet her. And she's able to come. And he said yes. And so he got to meet her. And then...
Yeah, it was really fun. We got to spend a whole week with him and his family. So
just at the house.
Fun to get to know him. Yeah.
House on the beach. That was it. You couldn't really...
It was amazing.
Go to places, yeah.
It was amazing. And at first it was really... Because it was perfect timing, actually, for me. Because... the girls wanted to be with their dad for a week. So like basically all of the stars, God put it together perfectly for us, because they shut down all gyms 2 days before when we decided that we could go. So I was able to actually have a full week away from having to be in the gym. I was able to record all our workouts from his dad's house, and that was beautiful. But yeah, nobody was going anywhere or seeing anything. So I was like, heck yeah, let's be on the beach. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And that was so fun. We definitely fell in love in that process.
Yeah. And then...
Well, we just kept going back the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We just kept going back and forth and doing, you guys know, anybody that knows me knows that I went to San Diego as much as possible that whole year.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. I definitely felt and remembered that why I wanted the zip code for the Bumble to be down there, because I love it down there.
And for me, it was, I'd been praying a long time to be in a relationship, and I always thought that it was under my control, and none of those relationships were what God had for me. It wasn't the person that he had for me. So he had to make me learn and go through a bunch of things over that 20 years so that she could learn and go through a bunch of things so that when we met each other, we would be able to be everything for each other that he had planned. And we would be able to look beyond ourselves at the other person and be what he created us to be for each other. So that when we were in July, before I went back to San Diego, I already knew that if she said she wanted to pursue a relationship, I was going to pursue marriage. Because I already knew. It was just that clear. I'd been praying, and fortunately, God answers my prayers very clearly. So he already put in my heart that this is the one that I've been waiting for. And I had so much faith that he promised that to me that I wasn't nervous ever. I was never nervous about it. I just had so much faith that God's going to make her fall in love with me. Like, really, it was that
so
simple.
awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
I did. I wasn't ever worried about it. I never stressed about it, but I still continued to pursue and put in the efforts, and because that's also what God put in my heart, right? So I already knew I was going to propose, and then June came, a year.
So it'd been
full
a
circle.
full year of dating. Yep. And then we planned a trip to Tulum. We planned a trip to Tulum because we had another trip that was canceled.
We had a
due to
trip
COVID.
to Croatia planned, and right before we were supposed to start booking flights, Croatia banned U.S. citizens from entering the country unless it was for work purposes only. So that was kind of the sign not to go there. And everybody on that trip, we had 12 people, I think, booked for the trip to Croatia, or on board to go. And so we were all like, let's go do something that weekend anyway. Where can we go? And we're like, Mexico. Mexico doesn't care. There's no COVID in Mexico. So.
And I'd seen a million things about Tulum, and I'm constantly watching traveling things because I love to travel. And I was like, ooh, Tulum would be so fun. And I had no idea, honestly, that he was going to propose there. So it worked out perfect because we had friends with us, and it was magical and amazing, mind-blowing location to propose. After he proposed and I said yes, I was like, holy cow, you live in San Diego and I live in Oregon City, and now all of a sudden I don't want to live at all without you. And so I was like, I am not, like, I remember going home and he still had to work things out in San Diego, which is living and stuff. And I was like, I have to be 6 weeks without you now. And that sounds terrible. So thankfully it happened quickly, but in July, July 11th, July 11th, I flew down, got him, and we drove back up to be here. July 11th, we did an in-house ceremony, a spiritual ceremony with Aunt Joyce and the girls, because part of my boundaries were, and we did have some awesome premarital counseling with Joyce, by the way, as we were in this process, which was really, really helpful for me, for sure. But Aunt Joyce met us here at the house and we did a commitment ceremony with the girls because I said,
in front of God.
Yeah, I didn't want to move just my boyfriend in. That was my boundary. So whether it happened fast or it happened slow, I did not want the girls to have an example of seeing this, having divorce and seeing at such a young age, mom just move in her boyfriend without a commitment. That's really important to me. So we did that so that we could do it quickly, and I wanted him to live with us, and so he moved in, and it was amazing. But we also wanted to get legally married and have a fun ceremony for us, but we didn't want to have the pressure again of having to I get why people get engaged and don't just get immediately married for some people, because it takes time to plan and prep and all that stuff. And so it was really fun to wait a full year and a half to actually have our ceremony. So we were doing life, and obviously already doing life married and everything before the ceremony, but it was so fun. Over the last year, he's had a little bit of a hard time, and I bless him. You're like, what are you gonna have to say? But I bless him for his willingness to leave the sunshine to live here in Oregon, because I know that is actually not easy for people to leave somewhere that's sunny and amazing all the time and move into the Pacific Northwest if you're not used to it. So I'm very, very, very thankful that you gave up your sunshine for me to be the sunshine in your life.
I was used to both. Growing up here, I spent 28 years here, 12 years down there, but the 12 years down there, I still want them.
Yeah, they held a lot of impact.
Yeah, every day was beautiful and amazing and peaceful, and
then he moved up here to living with 4 girls in a house. So,
however, she's been amazing. The girls have been amazing, and I know that this is where I'm supposed to be, so I'm not upset that the sun isn't here, except when it's been 10 days of rain. And but I know that she's where I'm supposed to be. So
yeah, love it. But anyways, so that's our story. Isn't that fun?
Super fun.
I mean, it's only it has already been over 2.5 years that we just recapped that story, which is really awesome. And the story is really just beginning.
Yeah.
It's going to be really awesome.
It doesn't even feel like that long.
I know. It's so fun. And so I highly recommend Bumble. I highly recommend second chances. I highly recommend redeeming love and just finding out how to love yourself, though, first, completely letting yourself heal. It's a whole nother video for me to talk about the weekends that I was alone, having to go through hard stuff and healing. So when I say he is my redeeming love, I absolutely believe it. So I'm so thankful.
Well, I think when both people are willing to be vulnerable to themselves and brave enough to face that vulnerability and learn all your flaws in order to gain strength and confidence in being flawed and in being imperfect, I think that is really the key to be able to be available to be in a relationship with anyone else. And I've been in relationships where I wasn't that at all, and it's a world of difference. Like this relationship, regardless of how great she is, has been super easy for me because I don't battle myself all day in my head about my insecurities and insecure about what she thinks about me. Now it's just I get to exist as I am, and she gets to exist with me as she is, and we don't have to talk about anything unless something doesn't work. But that's rare. It does happen, but it's rare that it does. So
I think that's one of the things that really helped me see such a contrast in difference in you versus any relationship I've ever had. Every relationship I ever had, I was trying to be something. I was trying to be something for someone, or be more like what I thought they would want me to be, or try to impress or whatever. But when we started dating, I was like, I'm just gonna be myself. Like, I'm gonna be so raw myself that literally everything can come out of my mouth, that I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to, I wanted to be purely myself from the very first day, so that he wouldn't think that he was getting something else. But also, like, I didn't want to be fake. I didn't want to have to be who I thought you wanted me to be, or perceive that, because that's what I had been doing whenever I had first impressions with people, right? Was trying to kind of like be this different version of myself. Where with you, I was like, I'm gonna be so bluntly myself and be exactly who I'd want to be, because that's who I want you to want to live with forever. So anyways, that was a huge part of healing also for me, was being able to see how much he loved me for every part of who I was, when I had been with people who always called out everything I wasn't, right? So that was amazing. Thanks, babe.
you're welcome, babe.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to our story. We hope that you love it. If you have any questions, or you want to give us a cheer, we'd love to hear
What was it? Hit like?
Yeah, hit like, subscribe, leave a comment,
Yeah.
share with your friends.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.